The Pittsburgh crime family, also known as the LaRocca crime family or Pittsburgh Mafia, is an Italian-American mafia crime family based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States. History. Prohibition-era bosses. In Pittsburgh, the Italian underworld was broken into two ethnic factions, with the Sicilian Mafia controlling the north and south sides of the city and the Neapolitan Camorra controlling the east end of the city. In the early 1920s, the two factions became involved in bootlegging, the illegal making, selling and transporting of alcohol. Throughout the Prohibition era, the factions fought in the city for control over the Italian neighborhoods of Larimer, Homewood, the Hill District and downtown. In the outer suburbs of southwestern Pennsylvania, the factions fought over New Kensington, Arnold, Wilkinsburg, McKees Rocks, Wilmerding and Braddock. During the late Prohibition era, from 1926 to 1933, there were over 200 murders in Allegheny County. The earliest known Pittsburgh family mafia boss was Stefano Monastero, who in 1925 was distributing bootlegging supplies throughout several warehouses on the north side of Pittsburgh. During Monstero's reign, he was suspected of ordering the bombings of rival bootleggers' facilities and for ordering the murder of his competitor Luigi Big Gorilla Lamandola in May 1927. Monastero was murdered on August 6, 1929 in front of St. John's Hospital. After Monastero's murder, Giuseppe Siragusa became the new boss of the Pittsburgh family. Siragusa emigrated in 1910 from Sicily to Brooklyn and later to Pittsburgh, where he manufactured and trade of illegal alcohol in Allegheny County. He became known as the Yeast Baron after becoming the largest supplier of yeast to illegal beer makers. Siragusa was a close ally to the Castellamarese clan in New York City and paid tribute to Salvatore Maranzano. On September 13, 1931, Siragusa was murdered in his Squirrel Hill home, just days after Salvatore Maranzano was murdered. Bazzano vs. the Volpe brothers. After the murder of Siragusa, the family came under the control of John Bazzano. The new Sicilian boss Bazzano had immigrated to the United States in 1890s and built an bootlegging empire selling yeast and sugar to home breweries and thereby allowing them to manufacture illegal beer. Bazzano formed an alliance with the 8 Volpe brothers, whom he allowed to operate out of a coffee shop in the Middle Hill. The Volpe brothers were the leaders of the Neapolitan faction and controlled illegal rackets throughout the Turtle Creek Valley and Wilmerding. Bazzano became upset when the Volpe brothers began expanding into East Liberty and the North Side. On July 29, 1932, Bazzano sent a hit team to murder the Volpes and had 3 of the Volpe brothers murdered. 2 of the brothers managed to survive. The surviving Volpe brothers went to the Commission in New York and it was decided Bazzano would be held responsible for his unsanctioned hit. On August 8, 1932, Bazzano's body was in Red Hook, Brooklyn. He had been stabbed and strangled to death. Vincenzo Capizzi became the new boss after Bazzano's murder, but he eventually resigned in 1937 and was replaced by Frank Amato. Amato began expanding his influence over the gambling rackets in and around Allegheny County, but in 1956 he became ill of a kidney ailment and resigned, becoming underboss. The LaRocca era. In 1956, John Sebastian LaRocca became the boss of the Pittsburgh family and reigned as boss for nearly 30 years. LaRocca was born in 1901 in Sicily and moved to the United States in 1910. He later moved in 1933 with his wife to Pittsburgh. He started a business selling beer equipment and concrete blocks in Oakland. LaRocca later gained control of multiple illegal rackets and was convicted on several occasions for larceny, receiving stolen property and operating an illegal lottery. In 1953, Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to use LaRocca's criminal record to deport him, but several prominent figures testified on his behalf during the hearings and he was able to remain in the country until his death in 1984. As boss of Pittsburgh, LaRocca attended the 1957 Appalachian meeting along with his capos Gabriel Manarino and Michael James Genovese. When the police raided the Appalachian meeting, LaRocca was able to escape the federal authorities, but Mannarino and Genovese were unsuccessful and were arrested. LaRocca and Capo Mannarino became partners with Tampa crime family boss Santo Trafficante Jr. in the San Souci Hotel Casino in Havana, Cuba. In 1959, Fidel Castro took control of Cuba and forced out all the mobsters in the country. Through bribery, LaRocca became a powerful mafia boss by controlling politicians, police officers and other officials in the Pittsburgh area. His family also maintained control of labor unions through Local 1058. LaRocca's influence also grew through close ties to Gambino crime family boss Carlo Gambino, Bufalino crime family boss Russell Bufalino, Philadelphia crime family boss Angelo Bruno and Kansas City crime family boss Nick Savella. In the 1960s, LaRocca's family started a conflict with the Cleveland crime family when they expanded into Youngstown, Ohio. In 1964, LaRocca supported Frank Valenti's takeover of the Rochester crime family from Jake Grosso. LaRocca died on December 3, 1984. Genovese and Porter Michael Genovese became the new boss of the Pittsburgh crime family, with the death of LaRocca. As the new boss, Genovese pursued members of the Pittsburgh Mafia to begin illegal drug trafficking. The family's drug trafficking activities led to more police and federal authorities focusing on the Pittsburgh family. On March 3, 1987, longtime underboss and West Virginia gambling leader Joseph N. Jojo Bacora died. After Bacora's death, Genovese promoted Charles "Chucky" Porter to underboss of the family. By the late 1980s, the Pittsburgh family was in decline as they weren't accepting new members and their leadership was growing older, according to a 1989 report by the Pennsylvania Crime Commission. During the late 1980s, the FBI investigation into Pittsburgh's top cocaine traffickers, Charles Porter and Louis Rauchi, Sr. continued. In 1990, the indictment was released and charged Charles Porter along with other members of the family on racketeering and drug trafficking. Porter, the underboss of the family, decided to cooperate with the government, leading the conviction of many Pittsburgh mobsters. By in 1992, there was only a few members and associates operating in western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio. The Pittsburgh family's main source of income was illegal sports and numbers gambling. On October 31, 2006, boss Michael Genovese died after years of fighting with bladder cancer and heart disease. Current status: after the conviction of the top members in the late 1990s and the death of many important members in the last decade, the family has few members left. Most recently discovered in grand jury testimony of Operation Pork Chop, there has been cooperation of high-ranking associates leading to new information of the family. In 2013, retired FBI Special Agent Roger Greenbank spoke about the Pittsburgh family and said, "There's no real structure anymore. There's no real family. The family is mostly involved in the local gambling rackets and has maintained a low profile in recent years." Historical leadership. Boss, official and acting, C.1910s 1920. Gregorio Conti, retired 1920-1925. Salvatore Calder I, retired 1925-1929. Stefano Monastero, murdered on August 6, 1929-1931. Giuseppe Yeast Baron Siragusa, murdered on September 13, 1931-1932. John Bazzano, found dead on August 8, 1932, in Red Hook, Brooklyn 1932-1937. Vincenzo Capizzi, retired to Italy 1937-1956. Frank Amato, stepped down, becoming underboss 1956-1984. John LaRocca, died on December 3, 1984. Ruling panel 1978-1980. Michael Genovese, Gabriel Mannarino, died July 1980, and Joseph N. Pecora, imprisoned 1979, acting 1980-1984. Michael Genovese, promoted to boss 1984-2006. Michael James Genovese, died on October 31, 2006, 2008. John Bazzano Jr., died on July 28, 2008 present. Thomas Sonny Giancuti. Underboss, official and acting 1925-1929, Salvatore Sam Monastero, brother to boss Stefano Monastero 1936-1956. John LaRocca, promoted to boss 1956-1973. Frank Amato, died 1973-1987. Joseph N. Jojo Bacora, imprisoned 1979-1983, died 1987 acting 1979-1983. Charles Chucky Porter 1987-1990, Charles Chucky Porter, arrested April 1990. Convicted in 1990, sentenced to 28 years, defected to the government 1990-2006. John Bazzano Jr., became boss in 2006. Consigliere 1956-1985, Michael James Genovese, promoted to boss 1985-1989. Pasquale Pat Ferruccio, controlled gambling in the Canton, Ohio area, imprisoned in 1991-1989, 2002. Charles Murgy Imburgia, his nephew Anthony Murgy was connected to the Genovese family. Current made members boss, Thomas Sonny Giancuti, took over Kelly Manorino's New Kensington gambling rackets. In October 2000, Giancuti along with his wife Sylvia Thorpe Giancuti, his two close associates Jeffrey Risha and Ralph Maselli and 11 other associates were arrested and charged with running a gambling network that spanned Westmoreland, Allegheny and Fayette counties. Giancuti's two lieutenants in the operation were Jeffrey Risha, who controlled sport betting and numbers rackets in Fayette County, Ralph Maselli, who ran the Allegheny County gambling operations and also was involved in the placement of video poker machines. In 2002, Giancuti was given probation for controlling gambling operations in Allegheny and Fayette counties. Current associates: Fayette and Allegheny gambling ring Jeffrey Risha is an associate of Pittsburgh family. Risha is considered Giancuti's top lieutenant and controls sports betting and video poker gambling. In October 2000, Risha along with Pittsburgh made member Thomas Giancuti, associate Ralph Maselli and 11 other associates were charged with illegal gambling in Fayette County. It was revealed in court that Risha and Ralph Maselli were Giancuti's top lieutenants who operated from Pittsburgh before moving into the New Beacon Club in Bloomfield. The courts described Risha as Giancuti's top lieutenant controlling sports betting and numbers rackets throughout Fayette County and was responsible for ensuring the betting was profitable. In 2013, Risha was charged with Ronald Malachy, Rodney Iannelli and others for illegal gambling. Ralph Big Head Maselli is an associate of Pittsburgh family. In October 2000, Maselli along with Pittsburgh made member Thomas Giancuti, associate Jeffrey Risha and 11 other associates were charged with illegal gambling in Fayette County. It was revealed in court that Maselli and Jeffrey Risha were Giancuti's top lieutenants who operated from Pittsburgh before moving into the New Beacon Club in Bloomfield. The courts described Maselli as Giancuti's lieutenant controlling sports betting and numbers rackets throughout Allegheny County and also was involved in the placement of video poker machines. Southwestern gambling ring Robert Bobby I. Iannelli is an associate of the Pittsburgh family and the leader of the Southwestern gambling ring who controls illegal sports gambling and numbers lottery in Allegheny and Westmoreland counties from his Chubb's Place restaurant in North Park. Iannelli was fined by Pittsburgh police in 1959 with football pool sheets. Iannelli started his criminal career under Tony Grosso, a Pittsburgh gambling boss. After Grosso was imprisoned, Iannelli took over the illegal gambling in western Pennsylvania on behalf of the LaRocca crime family and mafia don Michael Genovese. Iannelli partnered with the Williams brother and controlled Grosso's illegal lottery. He also aligned with Pittsburgh capos Anthony Wango Capizzi and Frank Sonny Amato, Jr. His son Rodney "Rusty" Iannelli joined him in the criminal gambling rackets. In 2019, Iannelli was arrested and charged along with his son Rodney Iannelli and 12 others with operating a illegal gambling operation. Rodney Elia "Rusty" Iannelli, the son of high-ranking associate Robert Iannelli. Rodney was arrested in 1991 on illegal gambling from Chubb's Place. He was charged in 2013 with illegal gambling along with Pittsburgh mob figures Ron "Porky" Mellici and Jeff "Biscuit" Risha. In 2019, Iannelli was arrested and charged along with his father Robert Iannelli and 12 others with operating an illegal gambling operation. McKeesport gambling ring Ronald "Porky" Mellici is an associate of the Pittsburgh family and leader of the McKeesport gambling ring. In 2013, Mellici was indicted along with Jeffrey Risha, Rodney Iannelli and 14 others on illegal gambling charges. Mellici was accused of running the illegal gambling operation from his defunct business, the Coffee Pot in McKeesport. The indictment also charged Mellici with selling illegal gambling machines and with controlling illegal gambling activity of lotteries and bookmaking throughout Monongahela Valley and McKeesport area. In the indictment, Mellici was accused of and boasted that he had law enforcement and local city council members in his pocket. The indictment alleged that Mellici bought back alley vending, a Glassport business from Primo Malika, a Pittsburgh mafia associate who controlled illegal gambling in Mon Valley until he died in 2001. In June 2015, Mellici was sentenced to a decade of probation. Kirk K. Prime Malika, the son of former, high-ranking associate Primo Malika, who once controlled gambling throughout Glassport, McKeesport, and the surrounding areas. Before his father Primo Malika died in 2001, he had sold his back alley vending, a Glassport vending business to Ronald Mellici. In 2013, Malika was indicted along with Ronald Mellici, Rodney Iannelli, Jeffrey Risha and 14 others on illegal gambling charges. The indictment lists Kirk's M&M coffee shop in Glassport associated with Mellici's back alley vending. Duffy gambling ring John Francis Duffy Conley Jr., a Pittsburgh family associate who operates an illegal video poker machine ring in Pittsburgh area. Conley owned 2 vending machine companies, Three River Coin Co. and Duffy Vending, and controlled illegal gambling Allegheny County. Conley was associated with both Pittsburgh family associates Ralph Maselli and John Adams. In 2006, Conley was arrested for running illegal gambling operations. The federal investigation never proved that Conley paid the Pittsburgh mob for protection, but the Pennsylvania Crime Commission claimed Conley received video poker machines from a company aligned with New Jersey's Lucchese and Cavalcante organized crime families. In November 2006, Conley and Chris Hankish were charged in a gambling ring. Conley was released from prison in July 2009. In 2010, Conley and William Curtin opened a legal online gambling website. William Curtin is Conley's number 2 man in the gambling ring. In 2010, Curtin and John Conley opened a legal online gambling website. Michael "Mickey" Flynn Jr., an associate of Conley's. He pleaded guilty November 1, 2006 to gambling conspiracy charges in connection with Conley's illegal gambling operation. Flynn is the owner of the Union Grill in Washington, and was convicted on state gambling charges in 2004. Other associates: John V, Johnny Three Fingers Leone, a Pittsburgh associate who was involved in narcotics trafficking. Leone was Eugene Gesuale's top lieutenant and a major player in the Pittsburgh Connection, a drug trafficking operation along with Pagan's motorcycle gang boss Daniel Zweibel with drug trafficking. Mauro P. Matwan, a Pittsburgh associate. Matwan worked closely with Eugene Gesuale and involved in the narcotics distribution. He was released from prison on February 22, 1996. John V. Johnny A. Adams Jr., a Pittsburgh associate. Adams controls a large gambling operations in the Pittsburgh area and is a close associate of John Conley Jr. and Ralph Maselli. Salvatore A. Sonny Williams, a Pittsburgh associate. His father controlled a large Pittsburgh gambling ring. Williams is a close associate of John Conley Jr. Williams was also a close associate of Paul Hankish. Anthony Murgy, a Pittsburgh associate. He is the nephew of Charles Imburgia and was a close associate of Charles Porter and Michael Genovese. Murgy was involved in illegal gambling. Frank Muniz, Jr., a Pittsburgh associate. He operates a large illegal gambling in Beaver County and was a close associate of Paul Hankish. Gerald D. Sabatini, a Pittsburgh associate. Sabatini's brothers John V. and Robert J. were associates of the Pittsburgh family and involved in illegal gambling operations. Sabatini's is a close associate of Thomas Jancuti. Manuel Zinakis, a Pittsburgh associate. Zinakis is a close associate of Thomas Jancuti and has been involved in sports and numbers bookmaking. Reginald Nico D'Amelio, a Pittsburgh associate. John Edward Scalzitti, a Pittsburgh associate. In 2002, Scalzitti was found guilty of a drug distribution network from Florida to Pittsburgh. Former members: Frank Amato, a former boss. Amato controlled rackets in New Kensington and West Virginia. He expanded the crime family's territory throughout Allegheny County. He stepped down as boss, becoming underboss to LaRocca. He died in 1973. Sebastian John LaRocca, a former boss. Under LaRocca's leadership, the crime family became a powerful force in Pittsburgh's labor unions. He established rackets in Ohio, while sharing some of the illegal income with the Cleveland crime family. LaRocca also formed an agreement with Tampa crime family boss Cento Trafficante, operating casinos in Havana, Cuba. In 1957, LaRocca attended the Appalachian Conference with Michael James Genovese and Gabriel Kelly Manarino. He died on December 3, 1984. Michael James Genovese, a former boss. Under Genovese's leadership, the crime family became involved in drug distribution in the Midwest and Northeast. His crime family also took control over rackets in Ohio after the Cleveland crime family members were imprisoned. Genovese also had members attempt to infiltrate an Indian casino near San Diego. His crime family also tried to take control of the McKeesport gambling rackets. After the defection of his underboss Charles Porter and capo Lenny Strollo in the 1990s, Genovese's family lost power. He stayed boss until his death in 2006 at the age of 87. John Bazzano Jr., a former boss. Bazzano's father John Sr. was boss of the Pittsburgh family before being murdered in 1932. During the 1950s, he joined his father-in-law Antonio Ripe's crew operating gambling rackets in the Monongahela Valley. Bazzano was released from prison in 1981 and was promoted to capo, controlling Kelly Manarino's old crew. He later became underboss to Genovese and became boss in 2006. On July 28, 2008, Bazzano Jr. died. Joseph N. Jojo Baccara, a former underboss who controlled gambling rackets in West Virginia. He was in prison from 1979 to 1983 on illegal gambling charges. On March 3, 1987, Baccara died of heart disease in Florida. Gabriel Kelly Manarino, a former capo who controlled the New Kensington rackets. He died on July 11, 1980, from cancer. Antonio Ripe, a former capo who controlled Monongahela Valley gambling, with his son-in-law John Bazzano, Jr. He died in 2000. Pasquale Pat Ferroxio, a former capo who operated in Ohio, Kentucky and Pennsylvania. He worked with the Cleveland family and died in 2006. Frank Sonny Amato Jr., a former soldier who operated in East Pittsburgh, Braddock, Turtle Creek and North Versailles. Frank Valenti, a former soldier. In the early 1960s, he took over the Rochester family. Louis Rauchi Sr., a former soldier, he took over Joseph Sika's Penn Hills rackets. In 1990, he was imprisoned, and he died in 1995. Joseph Sika, a former soldier who controlled rackets in Penn Hills, he retired in the 1980s and died in 1991. Anthony Wango Capizzi, a former soldier who operated in Las Vegas with the Bufalino family. He died in 2007. Henry Zebo Zottila. He died in 1998. Eugene Chiarelli, a former soldier. He was released from prison in 2008. Chiarelli died on June 14, 2012. Former associates Eugene "Nick the Blade" Gesuale was released from prison in November 2015 after serving 28 years related to drug trafficking. During the 1970s and mid-1980s, Gesuale was a narcotics trafficker and enforcer for Charles Porter and Penn Hill's Capo Louis Raucci. Gesuale became the Pittsburgh Mafia's liaison between the Mafia family and Pagan's motorcycle gang boss Danny the Deacon Zwibble. He ran his marijuana and cocaine distribution network from East Liberty and Highland Park along with the Pittsburgh family and the Pagan's motorcycle gang. Gesuale also was involved in bookmaking, loan sharking, extortion, and ran a prostitution business in Manhattan's Little Italy section, with the apparent approval of New York City mob families. He was also a close mob associate of Pittsburgh family boss Michael Genovese. Gesuale became famously known from the movie Goodfellas, and he was nicknamed the Pittsburgh Connection after selling Lucchese mob associates Henry Hill cocaine. In 1985, an indictment charged Gesuale, his right hand Johnny Three Fingers Leone, and Pagan's motorcycle gang boss Daniel Zwibble with drug trafficking. Gesuale died on July 29, 2016. Former factions. Youngstown faction. The Pittsburgh crime family operated a faction from Youngstown, Ohio and throughout the Monning Valley. During the early 1970s, the faction gained control of the gambling rackets in Youngstown and shared some of the profits with the Cleveland crime family. 1960S1988, James Jimmy Prado, died 1988, 1991. Joey Naples, protege of Prado, he was murdered in 1999. Lenny Strollo, nephew of Prado, imprisoned and defected to the government in 1999. Wheeling faction. The Pittsburgh crime family controlled illegal gambling operation in Wheeling, West Virginia and the surrounding areas. 1930S1970, William G. Big Bill Leas, born on July 14, 1900 in Greece. After Prohibition ended, Leas moved into illegal gambling and controlled casino nightclubs in Wheeling. In 1945, Leas purchased Wheeling Down Racetrack. In 1964, Leas rivaled with Paul Hankish and ordered the car bombing of Hankish. Leas died in 1970.1970. 1988. Paul "No Legs" Hankish, a Pittsburgh family associate of Michael Genovese, Charles Porter and Joseph Naples. On January 17, 1964, Hankish was a victim of a car bombing which resulted in the amputation of both his legs. The car bombing was a result of Hankish trying to expand his gambling territory into William Leas territory. After William Leas died in 1970, Hankish took over the Wheeling criminal operations with the support of the Pittsburgh family. Hankish controlled drug trafficking, sports gambling and loan sharking. In July 1990, Hankish was sentenced to 33 years in prison. 1988-2008, Christopher Paul Hankish, a Pittsburgh family associate operating from Wheeling, West Virginia. His father Paul Hankish was a powerful mobster. In 1990, Hankish was a co-defendant along with Charles Porter and Louis F. Raucci Sr. Hankish pleaded guilty in 1991 to cocaine distribution and was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison. In November 2006, Hankish was charged along with his close associate John Conley Jr. on illegal gambling. Hankish died on September 19, 2008. Rival Anthony "Tony" Grosso controlled gambling operations in the Pittsburgh area. The FBI never categorized Grosso as an organized crime member. Grosso was linked to Chucky Porter, and he had ties to the Pittsburgh political system, allowing him to run his organization unscathed for many years and unconnected to organized crime. He was eventually arrested by law enforcement and he served significant jail time, ultimately dying while incarcerated. His organization has no members left operating in the Pittsburgh area today. Grosso's antics were so legendary Hollywood loosely based the movie Lucky Numbers starring John Travolta on them. Government informants and witnesses. Charles "Chucky" Porter, former underboss who became the highest-ranking member in the Pittsburgh family to cooperate with the government. He became a soldier in 1986. Porter was the right-hand man of Michael Genovese. He was sentenced to 28 years in prison in 1990 on charges of drug distribution, loan sharking, extortion, conspiracy to commit murder, robbery, illegal gambling and racketeering. Porter confessed to the infiltration of a Native American casino near San Diego, and according to former FBI agent Roger Greenbank, Porter prevented 6 mob-related murders through his cooperation. He was released from prison in 2000. Porter died on October 11, 2016 at the age of 82. See also Robert Doug and Eugene Coon. General crime in Pennsylvania. Notes. References: Capisi, Jerry. The Complete Idiot's Guide to the Mafia. Indianapolis. Alpha Books, 2002. ISBN 0-02-8642225-2. Davico, Peter J. The Mafia Made Easy. The Anatomy and Culture of La Cosa Nostra. Paurello, Rick. To Kill the Irishman. The War That Crippled the Mafia. 2004. External links: American Gangland, LaRocca Genovese Crime Family Die Land, The Pittsburgh Family Die Land, Youngstown Representatives.